So, small group today, but I'm going to be showing you how to use designs in Command to create your own listing presentation. So before I dive into that, I do want to touch on the marketing profile for a minute. I do talk about this in almost every marketing related training that we do. Just switch my account there. So in Command, you have what's called a marketing profile, and it can be found under your name up here at the top. And then when you click on settings, you're going to go into your Connect settings. So I'm just going to pull this up a sec here. My marketing profile. And this is super important to make sure that you've filled out for a number of reasons, but in particular for designs, which we're going to be using today, it's going to pull your headshot and all of your information here as text fields so that you can easily pull from them when you're creating a design. So there's a lot of reasons why you want to complete this profile, but for design specifically, if you want to be able to add your headshot or add your logo, you want to make sure that they're added here in your marketing profile. There's a lot of other stuff you can fill in, like your bio, contact information, Market Center logo is another important one to make sure you've uploaded so that you're able to add that to your designs as well. You can also upload it directly to the design, but it's better to just have it filled out here and it's all going to pull in seamlessly. So highly recommend coming in and making sure you have this all filled out before diving into the actual design work. That's my little plug for the marketing profile. But we're going to dive into our design section of Command, which is the third from the bottom here on the left. It's a little paintbrush icon. So once you click on that, you are then going to click on Create Design at the very top right. And for this, for a listing presentation, we're going to click on print because it is something that we're probably going to print and give to people. So we'll choose print and create, which will bring you into the design center, as I call it. Just takes a minute to load here. Once it loads, you're going to see a whole bunch of sections on the left-hand side and some options along the top here. So before I go into the templates, I am just going to run through the navigation here for a moment. So we're on the templates tab. The next one is images, and this is where you can search for stock images for your designs. There's a couple different sources of them. Some are from Shutterstock, which does require you to have a subscription. I think if I click use, yeah, it will make you subscribe to Shutterstock to be able to pull those designs into, or those photos into your design. But there are some in here that are free, excuse me, free as well. So if you see enterprise resource, these are ones that are included. So unlimited Shutterstock is not, but any of the enterprise resources are. And you can also filter by free. And so then you'll have some other options that pop up, like free use. This one's free as well. So you may find some in there. There are other sources for free stock images online, but this is just something that's built right in. Then we have My Designs. So that's as you start using designs in here, you're going to see all the different things that you have made, whether they're social graphics or print graphics. Anything you've made since you started using Command will show up in here. You can also start from blank here. So if you didn't want to use a template, you just wanted a blank slate to create your own graphic or your own presentation, you can start it from blank just by clicking there, and it will have you choose the size of the graphic you're making. You can remove a background from an image directly from here. So you just upload the image and remove the background. And you can also create folders to organize your designs. So I have email signatures, birthdays, cappers, etc. So they're all the different types of graphics that I make. You can create folders just by clicking the folder button there. And the last tab is assets. I would say this is probably the most important one, but this is where you can store anything that you want to use over and over again. So if you have, you have your branding set up, you have a specific color scheme that you use all the time, you can actually add your color palette here so that when you're creating your templates, you have all those colors to pick from. You don't have to search for the color code or try and match it as best you can. You can just add your palette here, and then you'll always have those colors to choose from. Same thing with fonts. You'll have access to the basic fonts that are in designs, but if you have your own custom font or something you use for your branding that you purchased somewhere or got somewhere, you can actually upload that font file in here so you can use those fonts within designs. Okay. On the left of the assets tab, we have some other tabs as well. So we're on the colors and fonts. We also have images. So if there's any, you have headshots or anything like that you are going to use more often, you can upload those. Same thing with text. All of this text is pulling from my marketing profile. So I have my bio, website, contact information, all that stuff is there because my marketing profile is filled in. But you can add other pieces of text. So if there's anything else you're writing all the time and adding to everything that you put on, you can create a sort of canned text box that you can pull from when you're creating your designs. Same thing with logos. If you have other logos besides that one KW logo or team logo that you've uploaded to your profile, a lot of times you'll have like little emblems or sort of supporting logos that go with your main one. You can upload any of those here. Another good one is like the Realtor and MLS logos. You have to add that to a lot of things. So you may want to add it to your assets in here so you don't have to upload it to every design that you're making. The rest elements is pretty much the same. It's just like little images or objects you would add. And we don't really do anything with videos or files. So it's really these first 5 that you'll deal with, 4, I guess. So you can add your colors, images, text, and logos here. Any questions about the asset library or any of those tabs before I head back into the templates? Nope. All right. So pop back here to the main page we came in on, which was templates. And again, you're going to see a whole bunch of different categories. It can be a little overwhelming the first time you come in, but for this purpose, we're just creating a listing presentation. So I'm going to go to the listings section. And then you're going to see listing presentation down here. So you're going to have 5 different options. They're all the same content inside. It's just a different design. Again, they're fully customizable and we'll go through how to customize that. But these are the 5 sort of basic options that you have. So once you choose which one you want to start with, you just click on Use. And that is going to bring you into the editor where you can start to customize it. Load. All right, so this is our listing presentation template. You're only seeing one page on your screen when you first come in, but you'll notice at the bottom right, there is a button that says pages. So we can see that there's actually 29 pages in this listing presentation. So if I click on pages, it opens this side menu where you can see all of the pages that are in that presentation. So this is just the title page. You do have an instruction page, which is next. So it's just to give you instructions on how to fill out the listing presentation. So once you're done creating this, you'll want to come up and delete this page because your clients don't need this. But really the main title page, it starts on the 3rd page here. So this would actually be the first page of your presentation. And it's set up so that you can actually customize it for a particular client. So before you have your listing appointment, you could come in, we've had this all templated already, and just fill in information specific to that client. So it's all set up for you to do that. Of course, you don't have to. You could remove the exclusively prepared for and the name and just put listing presentation or listing package, make a catchy title for it, whatever you want to do. So you kind of have 2 options there. You can have what they call an evergreen listing presentation, which is just a generic one that applies to everyone, or you can do it really custom for that particular client. So we'll go through all the different pages and what you can customize, what you might want to remove if you aren't making it custom for someone, but we'll look at all that in a moment. So this is our very first page. I'm going to double click on any of the text that I want to change. So when you double click it, it lets you actually type in here. Put my own name there, pretend that I'm the client. So this is where you would change that information. The photo here as well, you may want to have a photo of their home, a photo of the neighborhood, something relevant to that client. And you can change that photo if you upload an image. Here on the left, you have a few different menu options as well. So you can upload additional images if there's something that you want to replace this with. So in the images here, I would click add, and then you can upload an image. Down here, we have our agent information. So this is all generic, of course. So I would want to put my own headshot here. So I can click on this image, and I'm actually going to go to the My Assets tab, which is going to be everything that I've ever uploaded to my asset library or my marketing profile. And I have my headshot here. So once you have that photo selected, you can actually just come over and click Replace Image, and it is going to replace that image with the one that you selected there. And you double click to change any text. Do that, and then you have the room for your contact information down here. Let's see, so you just edit that. I'm not going to go through all that, but again, double click it. You can change the info. Over here we have logos as well. So this was the team logo that's in the template. I'm not add a team logo, so I can just delete it by clicking backspace on my keyboard, or you can highlight it, and up here at the top right there is a remove button which will delete it. Okay. Next is the logo. So on any design you see, you're going to see this KW DBA name logo. That is just the generic KW logo. So you're always going to want to change that to the KW Select logo. So when you click on it, it actually opens the logos menu, and you can click on My Assets once again. I've uploaded all of the KW logos to my asset library, so they're all showing up here. So I just choose the one I want to replace this with. And again, click Replace Logo, and it fills that in for me. You can resize it just by clicking and dragging on the corners. And there is a little text box here where you could fill in the Market Center address as well. I'm just going to remove that for clarity. So there, we have our main title page done. As we go down the rest of the pages, the next one is sort of a table of contents. So you may need to change that if you do end up changing around the pages or adding anything else you want to highlight there. Page 5 is going to be specific to the property for the client that you're meeting with. So this is one of those pages that if you are making it custom for that person, you would want to fill this in with information about their property. But maybe you're making it sort of a generic one, you would want to remove this page. Okay. To remove pages, you would just click on these 3 dots next to that page, and then you can click delete. And delete design number 5. And so now that page is out of there. The next page is about their neighborhood. So once again, it's specific to that person that you're meeting with. We have these things called neighborhood snaps. You've heard me talk about neighborhoods. It's a pain point. A lot of our neighborhoods are very limited here in Nova Scotia and PEI. So we might be looking to highlight a specific area and it's not actually in the list. So this is great if it is in the list. If you did want to check, you can come over to KWLS, which is the KW listing service, and then click on snapshots at the top, which would let you search for a neighborhood. So if I did Lower Sackville, Nova Scotia, that does come up. And so then I have the neighborhood snap, which is pulling the data from MLS. So I could click again, replace image, which will fill that in. The only thing to keep in mind is the average sold price is not going to come through because we don't have access to the sold data, just the way our MLS works. So you could essentially crop that and crop that part out if you wanted to, and then just kind of add it again, and you can add the bottom information and just crop out the top part. Just move that into place. That's the best workaround I can suggest if you want to use that, if the neighborhood does exist that you're trying to highlight and you want to hide that not applicable for the average sold price. You could also go find the average sold price and put a text box over that not applicable and fill it in if you did want to highlight that. Okay. Again, we just double click on any text if you want to change it. So change this to The next page, page 6, is again specific to that client. So any comparable properties that you're filling in to show them, things that have sold recently, you would want to fill this in here. Once again, you can delete this if it wasn't a custom listing presentation. Then we get into the more general stuff. So this is all different things that you'll want to include no matter what. So first is just about visualizing their dream scenario for selling their home. So it just has some questions that they could ask to just determine what value you're going to provide. The next page also goes over the process. So some of these you may want to change if your workflow is different. Again, we just double click on that and you have all of this here. So maybe if this one was different, you could change that checkbox, but it just kind of gives them expectations of what the process of selling their home is going to look like. So you'll definitely want to read through all of the check boxes and pretty much the whole thing as you're going through it to make sure what you're saying you're going to do in this presentation is actually things that you do. So just keep that in mind as you're going through it, but that is the process page. Then you have the custom marketing plan. So it just has some stats about digital marketing as we go through this section. The next page has the graph for how buyers find their home, showing that mostly it's the internet. So if you have a good website set up and you're kind of pitching that as a value piece, this is a great one to include as well. So a lot of these you really don't, besides the first few pages where it's custom to that client, a lot of this you're just kind of going through and making sure it's relevant to your business. A lot of it doesn't need to be changed unless you want to change it, but you can use it as is. Okay, so it goes through your media plans, so showing them the different brochures and flyers and postcards. So as you create those sort of templates for your business, you may want to come in and replace these little images with the ones that actually look like your marketing. So that's something you may want to do first before coming through here, but you can always come back in and edit this after once you've created those different marketing pieces. Again, we have the images there. We can click on them. Actually, this one, these are a little bit different. So you can actually click to drag this whole one. It's actually a pasted flyer that's really small, so all the text and everything in there is editable. I would recommend, if you are changing these, to just drag and highlight over that image and remove it. Again, just by clicking the delete button at the top here or the backspace on your keyboard. And then just once you save an image of your marketing, you can upload it into images and make it really small and put it there. That's the best thing I could recommend for that part. And again, it's still just going through promotion, different things that you're planning to do to market this listing. There's an open house strategy. So if you do plan to do open houses for your listings, this is a great one to include. So we've got the details as well. So again, this is just information for the clients, just setting those expectations for what the process is going to look like. I think that's the last part of the marketing. Yeah, so that's all the marketing information. Then it goes into information about you. So this is where you can actually fill in your own stats. Again, you'll want to change this information to yourself, of course, but you can fill in how many years you've been in business, how many clients you've served, what percentage are repeat clients. This is 2019. You'll obviously change that to 2023, 2022 actually, and how many clients you served then. So it's just giving them some information about you and your experience here. Page 17, again, is highlighting your numbers. So your average sale price, how many days on market your listings typically are. So this is all great information to highlight. You'll just have to do a little bit of work to calculate all of these numbers and fill them in. So this one here, let's say this was, double click that. Maybe it was 70%. You can very easily just, again, double click the text and change these numbers. Awards is here. So this is actually all highlighting KW's awards. If your team has different awards you want to highlight in here, again, just edit the text and put that information in. Okay, information about Keller Williams here. And then we get into your portfolio. So if you did want to highlight different listings you've had in the past, you can do that here as well. There's 3 pages for this, so you may not want all of these on here. If you're a newer agent and don't have a big portfolio, you may want to remove these pages, but it is there for you to use if you do want to highlight those things. So I could, again, just delete that page, delete. Featured listings is a hard one, especially if this is one that you're making sort of in advance to use for many different appointments and not specific to a client, because these listings can sell very fast. So then you have to reprint them. So it's one that you can keep in if you are customizing it every time. You can put in your other listings that you have. But if you are just making that sort of evergreen presentation that you're going to use over and over, this is probably a page you'll want to leave out of that one. So I could delete that one here. Okay. Now we have reviews. So this is somewhere where you can highlight your testimonials from different clients. So you can, again, it's the same kind of thing throughout the whole process. You're just double clicking to change that text there. This is just stuff you can fill in. We have selling safely. So this was all created, I think, sort of in advance of COVID, not advance, but during COVID. So talking about virtual showings, socially distanced tours, contactless transactions. If this is something you still want to highlight, of course, you can keep that in. If it's not overly relevant, again, just page. So it's meant to, with the presentation, you don't have to use all of the pages. Like I said, you're really going to go through and pick out what you want to highlight about your business and what information you want to provide to your clients. And then you can go from there. So don't be afraid to delete stuff if it doesn't apply to you. Final page here is your app. So this is highlighting your KW app. If you are sharing that with people to download, you'll want to make sure that you update your app link here. So at the bottom, it has a link to download your app. So you can find that within Command. And if anyone has questions about that, I can show you where. But you'll want to go find your app link and then again, paste it right in here. So if someone's going to download the app, they're actually going to download it from your link and not just the generic one. And the last page here is the back of the presentation. So it just has your contact information and the office information. So that's all the pages that are in there just by default. Of course, you could always add additional pages as well. So if there was something else you wanted to highlight that wasn't in that presentation, you have this new page button down here at the bottom. And when you click that, it's just going to create another blank page in the presentation. Okay. With the blank page, you have some options of what you can do. Over here on the left, we have a templates button, which is actually not going to pull anything because we're in a template. Images, again, you can add anything you've made in other designs or other softwares, anything like that. We have text, so you can add your text boxes, whether it's title, subtitle, body, etc. You have logos and elements as well. So again, we have our logos that we pulled from. But then in elements, if you go to workspace, no, in here. It's the stock ones. So these are all stock elements. So you could start building things. I mean, they're not overly relevant for real estate, so you may not use these too much. But you can also like copy and paste elements from other pages as well. So if you wanted, I don't know, this big red square, I could click it here, right click, and then copy. And then when I go to my blank page, I can right click and paste it. And so then I'm adding elements so that everything is kind of seamless and looks the same. So you can do that way. You can also duplicate those other pages and just change all the content. There's lots of ways to really customize this for what you're looking for. Some of the things I did not touch on as well was sort of editing any colors or fonts. So as you're going through this, especially if you do have your own branding set up already, you may have, again, specific color schemes or specific fonts that you're using. So it's very easy to change the colors as you're going through. Any elements like this, when you click them up top, you're going to see these three options, and it's the fill color. So if I wanted this to be blue, for example, you can change it to blue, and then you can go through the presentation and change all of those different pages. You also have the opacity, which is going to make it more faded, depending on what it is. You may want to do that. For text, again, you just click on the text and you're going to get this menu along the top. So you can change the font. To change this here, you're going to see all the different fonts that are available. Maybe I want to be less bold, I can do that. And you can also change the size and the type of, if it's a heading or just a body text, you can change that type of text as well. Something that's really cool for the longer pieces of text. Let me find them here. So if you were looking to edit this text, you actually have a typewriter button here, which pulls up the side text editor. Either way, you can type it into here, or you can double click and type it into here. It works just the same, but some people prefer to type it over here where you're just seeing all the text at once and then you can format it after. Some other things for text, of course, you have your bold, italic, underlined, letter case. So if I wanted to change that to, just highlight the text here. If I want to change it to all caps, I can make it all uppercase or all lowercase. And then you have your bullet points, your alignment. So if you want it center aligned or aligned to the left, you can do that as well. It's all just to your preference of how you want to design it. And then spacing. So that is basically how far apart are the lines. So you can customize that as well. Any questions about editing the template or changing any of these things?
No, you've been amazing. We're so lucky to have you, Jess.
Thanks, Ryan. So let's say I'm done and this is my listing presentation. I am going to, actually, I'm going to delete the first two pages. Those are just part of the template. So now we have our presentation here. There's a couple ways to get it out of design so you can actually use it. The main one is downloading it. So we do have this download button at the top. And you're always going to want to choose PDF of some sort when you're downloading this. PDF standard is good if you're just like using it as a digital thing. Maybe you're sharing it through Google Drive or whatever. I would do standard, but if you're planning to print this and like make a booklet, I would do PDF for printing. It just crops it all perfectly for printing with the bleed and the crop areas. And then it also, you can change the coloring. So it's for like professional printing. If you were actually sending it to a professional printer, it changes the way the colors print. But essentially that's just going to print a higher quality PDF for you to download. Okay. The other cool thing with this is if you are a digital agent and you don't want to print things and you just want to like sit with them at the computer and go through this, you can actually click share and you get this viewing link. So what this does is it's like a PDF viewer. So if I go to that link, it's like a, I don't know what to call it, newsletter type thing. It makes it like a booklet. So you can actually scroll through all of those pages without having to download it, a flip book, that's what it's called. Without having to download it and use a third-party software, you can actually just get this shareable link. So that's really helpful for any of the print things that you do in Command, especially if you're planning to like use them for lead generation. Some people will make a buyer's guide and advertise it on Facebook, for example, where someone has to fill in their info and then they get to view the buyer presentation. This would be your link to that. So you could create an ad, they fill in their info, and it brings them right to this, which is what you're advertising. So just a cool way, another cool way to share it besides having to download and print it or email the attachment to someone. Okay. Once you're done, of course, you can click done. I'm going to save my changes. And then it's going to bring you, oh, it's about to bring you back to my designs. but it will bring you to command with your list of designs. Now, another nice thing with this is if, let's say you made this custom for a client, but now you also want to have that evergreen one that I mentioned that you can just have printed and have a couple copies with you all the time. You can then click these 3 dots and click make a copy. Just going to keep it in my personal account. Let it load. So now I have the one that I just made that was custom, and now I have a copy of it that I can go through and remove those custom pieces that I just have a generic template. So you don't have to go through and make a whole separate one. You can just continue to make copies of it, especially when you come in for the next client to make your custom one. You'll probably want to use the same template. Do it again, just make a copy, go through and change that info to that next client.